Hi, welcome to Make Me Care. We're shaking things up a little bit, and instead of one of our writers talking to host Amelia Uri, I'm talking to my dad. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Annie.
There's a little bit of a time lag, so please excuse the bolo tie, the cowboy hat, and the Montana internet. Things are about to get a little bit more rural. To kick things off, Dad, could you tell me how you decided to go back into ranching? I know you were an attorney for decades.
Well, I've been practicing law for a while, and I really wanted to come back to the ranch at some time because that's where I grew up, and I just loved working with animals, working outdoors. I thought that's where I want to try and make an impact on my life, raise my family, and come back to a rural setting. And so that's what I did.
I know this is a rude question, but we get asked it a lot. How many cows do we have, and could you describe the ranch a little bit?
Well, we're what's called a cow-calf operation. That is, we have mother cows, and we sell the calves in the fall. They're usually born about February and March, and we sell them in November. And we don't have much grain. We raise hay for our cattle, which we feed in the winter from about December through May. It's a lot of work. It's 7 days a week. Somebody has to be attending to cows because you can't take a couple days off and go on a vacation unless somebody else is tending to the critters. So it's a lot of work, but it's really enjoyable. And you're with nature every day. You've got wildlife all around. You've got the beauty of the landscape. And every season, every day is different from the year before. So there's such a variety that it's really fun.
There was quite a bit of recent controversy over Cliven Bundy. I'm not sure if you listened too much to that. But something...
I was embarrassed by the guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just in contrast, I know that having cows out on public land is sometimes controversial, but I just remember going up with you into the mountains growing up, and there is just so much documentation and care. I remember you measuring different types of plants to make sure we weren't overgrazing, counting the hoof prints in the creek to make sure that we weren't over-trampling. It seemed like we took a lot of care. Is that the norm with Forest Service land?
Oh, yes. I mean, they have some pretty strict regulations. And, the bottom line is if we weren't up there with our cattle, these small ranches and whatever, then probably these small ranches would be in subdivisions. Open space would be gone. Wildlife would be hemmed in with fences and subdivisions, whatever. So it's a situation that's a benefit not only for the small rancher, but it's a benefit for wildlife and open spaces. Most wildlife in Montana spend 90% down on the ranching operations or the farms. They don't spend it up high in the mountains in the wintertime. They have to come down. So they rely on the family farm or the family ranch too.
Did you read Omnivore's Dilemma at one point? Do you remember that book?
Yes.
What did you think of the book and the premise that you?
Well, I thought it was fascinating and very true. And just the whole theory of not theory, but of how we're relying on corn and also on fuel fossil for fertilizer, and that a lot of the world or most of the world population depends now on a sort of a false bottom on fertilizer that's made from fuels.
But we still use fossil fuels and corn feed at the end of the summer, is that correct? Or have we gotten away from corn feeding?
No, we don't feed any corn, but we do feed some grain, just to a few that we fatten up to feed to our friends and ourselves. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, when we sell the calves, they come off grass, and they go back to Iowa or Nebraska, most of them, and they're fed corn, feedlots.
So what are your feelings about that? I mean, our little slice of the valley is just, seems like it would be heaven for cows. It's so green and it's so wide open. And then at the end of their lives, we end up kind of shipping them off into this system that is a part of the problem. Do you struggle with that at all, or?
Yes, but that's what the system is right now. But consumers, I think, are starting to change that. It's, talk about niche markets, and there's some of that now, but consumers eventually, if they don't want corn-fed beef and they want range beef or whatever, they'll do it. Mm-hmm. And the ranchers will provide that for them. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a gradual thing with consumers that are demanding it more and more.
So could you move just a little bit to your left? You're just kind of sneaking out of the frame a little bit.
I move to my left as long as I don't have to move to my right.
That's much better. There's also a school of thought, though, that we should really diversify ranches. I think it was mentioned in Omnivore's Dilemma. There is a farmer back east who has cows that will graze on a piece of land, and then they'll cycle in chickens who will kind of move the manure around, and then a new crop. So just kind of this crop rotation system. Hard to imagine our ranch turning into this sort of system.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a small-scale operation. It's very efficient for what they were doing there, but it's also very labor-intensive, and there are certain things now that we didn't do. We have electric fences for more intensive grazing or whatever, but unless you come home, we aren't going to have a bunch of chickens and pigs and the whole deal, because it's very labor-intensive.
Yeah. So if I came back to the ranch, you'd let me have a herd of chickens to follow around?
But your aunt may not. She doesn't like chicken feathers.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about me working for an environmental news site? I know that Grist tries to take the broader picture when it comes to agriculture, but environmentalism still tends to be a negative word when it comes to the ranching community.
Actually, I'm very proud and excited that you're working there, because it's that perspective of what you're gaining or what you're telling me is the way that I think any sustainable rancher, anybody that's really in the ranching industry, progresses and makes good decisions. I think Grist and a lot of the environmental organizations do a world of good for the rancher and for the farmer, because they're the ones that are hopefully guiding or helping to guide a system that is going to make ranching and farming sustainable. So yeah, I think you're doing a very good service for it. So keep up the good work.
Wow, you too.
Okay.
I feel like I find out more about the ranch every time I talk to you, and I love the care that you're taking with the land, and I love your perspective, and I love you. So
I love you too, honey.
All right, this has been Grist, Make Me Care. Signing off until next week.